Having the architect designs it on the radial plan. The idea is there's a central surveillance hub with 7 cell blocks that are radiating out from it. One person can literally just spin around and have the entire prison surveyed in a couple seconds. They're so overcrowded that even adding 2 levels to that cell blocks 4 through 7, which they're continuing to build after the prison opens, that they need to start expanding and making additional cell blocks.
That is a punishment cell.
It's kind of big.
Kind of thing.
It's a little, yeah,
That's really, really.
I think it's too big. It's too big. You should have it smell like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really good. That'd be really good corporal punishment.
All right, so everything you're seeing here is original besides this string of lights here that we put in. So what's on the south side here is the plumbing. You'll notice those pipes going right through the doorways there. That would have been there originally, so somehow the doors would have had to go around them. Kind of ironic that the plumbing runs right through your cell, because if you're actually in here, it's more of a chamber pot type deal. So you have to listen to those toilets getting flushed when you don't get to do that. On the other side of you is the heating for the cell block. Well, again, you can imagine if it's on, it's going to be pretty toasty. If it's not, it's going to be pretty chilly. I mean, you saw how that cell was recreated. There's no mattress on that. There's no blanket, nothing like that. So. Like I said, the lighting down here we put in, but you can see outside the doors there would have been electricity running down here originally. Sources say it really would have been off for the majority of the time. So you could be down there from a day to a month, and you're in pitch black, essentially. So you get the idea of what it would be like. We actually have cases of inmates, when they're done, they come up practically blinded because they've been down here for so long. And again, while you're down here, it's more of a chamber pot type deal.
I imagine they were fed here and there down here.
Yeah, I mean, they still get the bread and water. And again, I'm not sure if the guards would have turned on the lights to come down or if they would have flashlights. I don't really know the frequency of when the lights would go on. Certainly not enough that, those inmates can still come up practically blinded.
Huh?
All right, guys, so this area was actually shut down due to poor conditions. The state would shut it down. This one and cell block 13, which is what that photo was up there, they would then build death row in response to that.
That's disgusting in there.
It's the basement of a prison. How nice were you expecting?
God, can you imagine if you sat on the toilets? They're disgusting. My God.
I know, it's terrifying. You've used a gas station bathroom and a bus.
Yeah, I need smelling salt. Oh, God, it stinks in here. Oh.
It's to the right. If you can peek your head in there, walk to the right.
Can I go in here?
No.
You can't go in there. You can peek your head in.
It's a shower. It's an early 20th century shower. There's a toilet. You can sit on it.
It wasn't until the late 1800s that this would officially become the hospital block. But they made a lot of changes to it then. They repurposed those exercise yards just like they would do throughout the prison. This one would just be...
Seriously, can't go back in the house unless you get some stuff in.
You're insane. You know that, right? Part of you has to know that.
No, no.
Sorry. Oh, that's cool.
All right, so usually the first thing that catches people's eye is the big operating room light here. This is original. I mean, a 1950s original. It's not the first light that would have been here, but it was here when there were, surgeries going on. You'll see what it's attached to, you can't really tell anymore, especially at night, is a skylight. It's really dirty and has a roof over it now. In early 1900s, I mean, that would be a nifty little way of getting more light into the operating room, something that you would have seen in other rooms like this, really everywhere. How the room looks now, I know it's a little intimidating, a little scary. Usually people are whispering Frankenstein or American Horror Story or something. Despite that image, I mean, there were no lobotomies, no experimental surgeries. The treatment here was always pretty good, and for the most part, the inmates really appreciated the treatment they could receive here. Even though there were inmates that were part of the staff, I mean, early on, the female inmates are going to be doing that. They're again going to be using them to break the rules. They're going to be doing the cooking, the cleaning, being nurses for male inmates. Later, it will be part of some of their day jobs to be on the medical stuff here. We do have one case of a guy who would continue to pursue the medical field after he got out, so kind of a happy success story there. They could also do a wide variety of things here, including plastic surgery. So don't think complete, facial reconstructions, but if they have scars, tattoos, things that might visually prohibit them from getting good jobs when they got out, they could kind of help them with that. Just something little to adjust to being outside the walls. Now, there were exceptions to that they couldn't treat everything here, despite them calling it a city within a city. Probably the only scenario where it would become a benefit to have a prison in the middle of a city, because you could send these inmates out to the top medical professionals that are right outside the wall, or bring those people here. And they did like coming here. As you can imagine, they're going to see cases here they're not getting a chance to see in the hospital. So kind of a win-win for everybody there.
Hold on, how can you have women in there and you have the men?
And the men?
The women, you said there were women, the female inmates?
All the way up until 1923, the last female inmate would be set up. Yep.
So you had male and female, and then separate wings?
Originally, the women were over in the front gatehouse area. There are, rooms up there. No, that's when there weren't a lot of them. They would actually be moved to cell block 2 when the laundry was on 2. They were also moved to 7 when the kitchens were on the end of 7. We're actually going to walk right down cell block 7. You can see some of the female mug shots and see some of the crimes that they did. But they are seeing each other. The ones that are being nurses for inmates are definitely seeing each other. And they're also seeing each other. I mean, there were rumors going around that, they would usually come back when the kitchen's a little bit tipsy, because they'd have these little parties. They'd be getting drunk, essentially. So this picture here is an earlier version of the room. You can see a light that predates this one. You can see the skylight up here. This is a sterilization room, which is right back through there. Again, you can see the tile that would have been everywhere at a later period when green was the favorite color here at Eastern State. Down here you can see a surgery going on in the 1950s. This light in the picture does appear to be the one that's still in place, so that's pretty cool. This is 1940s, World War II. The Red Cross is doing a blood drive, appears that everyone looks a little bit staged. Everyone looks really happy to be here, but that's what's going on. This is, you can see, a third type of light that would be between these two. Any questions? Comments?
Were there children born here?
There were. So again, it's nothing as scandalous as like the female inmates are getting pregnant while they're in here, but we do have females coming in already pregnant. It's kind of a mysterious subject that we don't know too much about, to the much frustration to the staff here, because we'd like to know more about it. They did have their babies here. They would stay with mom for a little while. If they didn't have family in the area, they'd really be sent out with another female inmate who was getting discharged at the time. Was there a return policy to their real mom when we got out? We don't know. Did the women choose? We don't know much about it. But even the warden had a grandson that was also born here. Incidentally, his daughter was also married here in the prison. The inmates made her gifts. She was here since she was 5 years old, and she always grew up with these inmates being kind of an extension of her family. Actually, in that sign that we're going to pass about the female inmates, you can see a picture of her. They did get her, lucky enough to get her oral history. She's very old, but she was here.
Was the sterilization, was it voluntary or forced,
Was
the sterilization?
What sterilization?
Didn't you say, oh, you're talking about the equipment. I thought you meant actual people.
Oh, the sterilization room. No.
Never mind.
This is also the room that Al Capone would get his tonsils out. Al Capone and a number of their inmates all get their tonsils out on the same day. We also know he got some other surgery done here. We don't know what it is. We have no details, but we know he had something else done. So just to kind of finish up Eastern State history here, you can imagine being a prison for almost 150 years and not really ever being, widely updated. It's really out of date. It's really inefficient. The arrival of death row is just going to highlight that. That's the only building that has an electric panel to open up all the doors. That is, very much the most modern building that the prison has. The state did not want to spend the money to really, keep modernizing, to keep using it efficiently. By the 1940s, they were calling this unfit for human habitation, and they would continue to use it up until 1970. That, in addition to the 1961 riot, you know what kind of inmate is here by that point, that has the keys. They can go anywhere in the prison they want. The first place they go is death row to release everybody from there. I mean, those are the super max inmates that are housed over there. They did not know how far that was going to escalate. I mean, they were holding people hostage. It was really scary. That's kind of the last straw for this state, but you can't just all of a sudden close a prison. It would take them about 9 years to actually close, but 1970 the state finally closes its doors. The city would use this for a couple months after, so the last inmates leave here for good in 1971. It would be abandoned for about 24 years, as you can see what's going to happen here. You've got trees growing right into the beam here, the bottom is over here. What happens in that period, which is a lot in a very short amount of time, but that's why we have to present it as a stabilized ruin today. So that's when the roofs start caving in, the walls start falling down, things start, breaking, or people are breaking in, ruining things, that kind of thing. So I already kind of gave a little bit to the ending here as well. That it did, they tried to tear it down, but were not successful. The haunted houses would actually start as a fundraiser before the historic tours would, to the early 90s, and then 94 the first historic tours would start. That is continuing, and it's about 60% of our budget now, so all the proceeds go to opening up more cell blocks or doing a re-roofing project or something like that. So it really is why we can be so successful in the organization.
Did they ever use lead paint for painting the walls?
It is lead paint, yes. You're fine if you just don't eat it.